Are you looking to overcome cash flow challenges? Each week, struggling with payroll, managing vendor conversations, and just overall looking at the account and wondering how you're going to get through the week. That's common. It happens to a lot of business owners. And I'm here to talk to you about some key things and mistakes that are made that can hinder your performance, hurt your profit, and put you in that exact scenario. In the next 20 minutes, I want to talk about solutions that you can use to optimize your cash flow, give you tools for managing it, and set you on the right path. My name is Scott Peper. I'm the co-founder and CEO of Mobilization Funding, and for the last 10 and a half years, we've been helping businesses do exactly this. Understanding cash flow management is the key to your business. What cash flow does, and it's different than profit. Too often, as business owners, and myself included, I got this happen exactly to me. You get into business and you're working at it and you're doing what you set out to do. And then all of a sudden you start experiencing these cash flow issues. And if you don't plan for them properly or understand it, it just happens. Because why? You're doing what you do and you're managing people and you're trying to get new customers, and then all of a sudden the cash catches up. And if you don't have a financial background to start and you don't understand these things going into it, it's exactly the type of thing that's going to jump out at you. And it's the first thing that happened to me too. Cash flow and profit are different. Cash flow is the amount of money you have coming into your business, the sources and where they're coming from, and the uses of that cash going out, what you need those monies for. The amount of money you need to run and operate your business is vastly different than the amount of money that you make in profit. Sometimes you can be more profit and cash flow are very similar. And a lot of times you're using your profits to help your cash flow. But you also need things like lines of credit, access to capital, other debt, equity, other types of investments that come in. Those are all contributed to cash flow along with the actual business you're in and the customers that you're acquiring and what products and services you're delivering to them. That's a key instrumental thing. Cash flow is the amount of cash you need from the sources of opportunity coming into your business, and profit is the amount of money you make after you're done executing that service. But it doesn't mean that you have enough profit that you get to take all that profit, because you may need that profit to stay in your business for the operating cash flow concerns. Mistake number one, neglecting your cash flow, neglecting budgets, and neglecting some type of cash flow management. Just like we said, if you don't know that that's something you're supposed to do when you jump out into business, of course it's going to be the first mistake you make, and that's okay. Important is, now that you know that mistake's there or you're feeling that pain, what are you going to do about it? As we just discussed, cash flow is so critical to your business because it allows you to actually operate your business. When you have payroll due every week and vendor terms that are 30 days, for example, or 45 days, or sometimes you may have vendors that you need to pay up front, or sometimes you may want to pay a vendor up front so you can secure a certain price or certain amount of materials. All of those are things that are great to manage your business, but you need cash to execute certain parts of this and strategies. Cash flow management, budgeting, forecasting, that is what will allow you to know what things you're capable of doing or what things you want to do in your plan and how much cash it will require for you to be able to do that. That's mistake number one. So organizing your cash flow, setting your budget, creating forecasts, and adhering to them is exactly how you fix that problem. Getting expert advice from other colleagues, maybe your mastermind group, mentors, or if all else fails, you can certainly get them from your accounting firm or a group of interim CFOs or other avenues, or there's plenty of videos and tools online that you can also utilize. But getting a hold of that is going to help you tremendously in making the decisions and executing the business plan you want. Mistake number two, inefficient cash management, too high of expenses. Those are the things that really hurt your business, is when you strap the business with too much of a financial burden while you're trying to grow, or while you're just getting started. It shows up in places like this. First, you have too many employees. You're too quick to hire. You're too quick to add expense to the business that are typically in the fixed expenses or overhead expenses. So that are things like administrative burden, professional services, labor and payroll, extra labor that's not associated to revenue producing projects or services or contracts, things that aren't tied to your customer, directly. Those expenses, or purchasing equipment, the super fancy office that you built out before you're really a super fancy business, those types of things are things that you don't need to have in your business to operate and be effective, but they are things that can definitely hurt you and impact you as you're trying to grow. And if you're trying to manage your cash, those are the types of cash expenses that we see hurt businesses, particularly early on or before they grow. The other thing is when you take too much money out of the business. What do I mean by that? If you're running profitable projects and you're making money, it's great and you should take it. You should want to take some. But being very conservative with how much you actually take out is important, because if you are forecasting and you understand what your cash flow looks like and you understand what your budgets are, you'll know how much cash you need in the business in order to hit your plan. If each month you're accumulating those profits and you're making money, but you actually take that money out in the form of distributions, or you take that money out and you buy a piece of equipment or you buy something that's not part of the plan, you're going to seriously hinder your cash flow and therefore hurt your plan. And so those are the types of things that you want to watch really tight. Expense management. It feels good to make money and it feels even better to help or to take that money out, but using that money effectively and keeping cash in the business for your retained earnings so that you can effectively have more control over your business, more control over your destiny, and not be obligated to take out debt or take out the wrong type of debt or put yourself in a tough situation if bad times come. That's key, and that's what's important for making sure you control your expense management. Set goals for yourself, build those forecasts, and then adhere to them, and keep cash in the business, particularly enough cash to give yourself cushion to go through the bad storms, but also cushion and excess to make sure you can effectively have enough cash in your business to execute on your plan. Mistake number 3, poor invoicing. What do I mean by that? Well, oftentimes businesses forget to invoice, believe it or not, or they don't invoice accurately, or they are not follow the right process or procedure that the customer wants them to follow in order to effectively be paid. It's really critical and important for you to know exactly how your customers want you to invoice, when they want you to invoice, how they want you to invoice, what you need to include with your invoice, all the things that are required by them, or more importantly, just needed by them to make sure they can analyze what you're requesting to be paid for. They have all the information and tools to pay you, and they can do it quickly and effectively. Any delays in you invoicing your customer, them sending you back questions, you answering those questions, they require some piece of documentation and you send it back. Those days and weeks in between are only hurting your business. So it's really important up front to know how your customer expects you to invoice, what they expect you to include, and then you follow and build systems and processes inside your organization to do exactly that. Getting paid and getting your cash back as fast as possible is critical, and helping your customers make sure that they can pay you in the most effective manner and the fastest is key. Too often we see businesses either choose, because the invoice maybe is too little, they choose not to even invoice. Or maybe they're not paying attention to what time is at the end of a month or a period, and they don't invoice and they delay a couple days. All of those things, all those days, they add up. Just think about this. Other end of that equation, when you actually get paid and it's a tight week, and payroll's due to be taken out of your account on Thursday morning for Friday's payroll or Wednesday afternoon for Friday's payroll. It makes a big difference if your customer paid you on Monday or Tuesday that week instead of Friday. Those couple days is exactly what I'm talking about on the other end. So critically think about when you get your invoices out and at what your customers want, and make sure you build processes and systems with your team to include every piece of information and data that your customer needs so they can quickly analyze your invoice, approve it, and move on for payment. Mistake number 4, debt. Specifically, the over-reliance on debt. When cash is tight, and we've now talked about this a little bit here, all these areas are not followed perfectly, or they're underappreciated. All of a sudden, the cash flow tightness shows up, and it's the hardest thing to deal with, and you want to solve it. You're certainly not going to quit and go out of business, but what ends up happening is the solutions you need in a reactionary format like this aren't the best solutions for your business. The lack of being proactive in finding good debt solutions for you, because you properly forecasted a plan, you know exactly what your budget is, you know how much cash you need, you know when you're going to need it weeks and months in advance, You can go find the right debt options or the right lenders for you that can help you execute your plan in the best possible manner. Other mistake we talked about is you have too high of expenses, misuse of cash, which again ties into the lack of forecasting. You now show up in a scenario where you're reactionary and you need the cash. And now you have a reliance on debt too often. And what do? You get either the quick debt option. You maybe sell a part of your business for equity to someone at a much lower valuation than you probably should or could have deserved if you planned it out properly. You are now end up with a partner you don't need. You end up with a lender in the wrong terms. You get too much money. You get too little of money. Those types of things cause actually more problems in your business when they're wrong decision, because what happens is you now have a new set of circumstances that you absolutely have to manage to, aside from all the business circumstances, and you have a different opinion and a different person that's making you follow a process and procedures that may not be best for your business. And some cases, and most actually, if it's the wrong type of debt, you have actually now a new expense pulling money out of your account, decreasing your cash flow in a way that's actually even more harmful to your business, and which makes it even harder for you to accomplish. So try not to rely on the wrong types of debt and get yourself into a fight or flight mode in a reactionary scenario where you're tight on payroll for a week and all of a sudden you take out the wrong type of loan, or you end up selling a piece of your business that you didn't want to, or borrowing the money that doesn't fit for what your plan is. There's lots of good options out there, but finding them in a proactive manner is where you're going to do it, not in a reactionary manner. And mistake number 5 ties into all of them, is the lack of contingency planning. And what do I mean by that? I mean, if you use too much of your cash, like we talked about in the very beginning, if you don't keep enough cash in the business for those downtimes, you're not properly thinking about, what if my project takes this much longer than I thought? What if this project pushes and it's all 3 of these projects I've planned out perfectly start all at the same time? Little contingencies planning like that, and things that can happen very often, specifically in construction, are the types of problems you can avoid with proper planning. What do I mean by that? Contingency planning, looking at your forecast and having a model, allows you to be able to tweak certain variables. What if this happens? What if that happens? And these models can then spell out for you exactly what those changes are so that you can see and forecast in advance in your mind what you need to do. For example, what if your budget, your forecast, your thought process was all of a sudden told to you from your CFO, hey, look, if these 3 projects start at the wrong time, we're going to actually need an extra $100,000 come November, 2 months from now, or come October. While we're thinking about that, and you're also contemplating buying a piece of equipment versus leasing a piece of equipment, or you're contemplating hiring 10 or 15 new employees, or maybe you're thinking about taking a distribution. Imagine if you had that information today to forecast through November, it would change your decision. Maybe you lease the piece of equipment with an early buyout option at the end of the year. Maybe you don't take that distribution and you set it up to yourself. You know what? I'm going to keep the cash in the business until I can see when this project starts. Those are the types of things. I'm going to keep the cash in the business until I can see when this. So now we've covered the 5 mistakes. Let's summarize some of the strategies that we've discussed already and kind of bring it together. First, think of cash flow for your business the same way if you're thinking of a fire. Fire needs oxygen in order to survive and thrive. If you have a fire, what's the first thing you want to do? If you don't have a fire extinguisher, you can cover the fire, remove all the oxygen or ability to get any air, and the fire goes out. Cash flow or cash in your business is oxygen to a fire. If you take all the cash out of your business is going to go out. It's going to be harder. It's going to be tougher. You're going to have to work harder. Just like putting oxygen into a fire will get it going, you want to put cash into your business. And you can do that in a lot of different ways. Best way to do it is have an effective business plan, work your plan, understand what you're doing, have a great strategy, invoice your customers, get paid on time, use the right debt options when you need it to fuel your growth by being proactive, invoicing and billing your customers on time, having a great system to do so, invoice them on time, include the information you need, create the right strategy with your customers and your team, and then get paid quicker. Then for expense management, you want to build out what expenses do you need to incur? What are the best ways to incur those expenses? And you can do all that inside your plan. One of the key things that I think works really well is the concept of delayed gratification. if you have a business plan and a forecast, you can see where you're going to end up. Certainly, you know where you're trying to get to. As you work through that plan, you can create little milestones for yourself that as you accomplish that and the momentum's building, you can start to reward yourself a little bit. Or you can make this decision when this and this and this happens. I think the form of delayed gratification will help you tremendously in framing up for yourself that you're having success and it looks really good, but you haven't necessarily earned the ability to realize it yet in the individual sense. What do I mean by that? I mean taking distributions out or buying a car or buying equipment or buying a boat or whatever it may be for yourself personally. There's certainly little things you want to do along the way to reward yourself, but if you could, for example, work a plan for 3 full years and make the delayed gratification and sacrifices that you need to so that you can then take your first distribution 3 years from now after you've executed a 3-year plan, your business will be healthier. It'll be easier for you. You'll be a lot happier versus needing something every quarter or every 6 months or every year. And the more you do that for a business, the more oxygen you're giving your business, the more safe you are, the harder you're going to be to put out, the more you're going to be able to go and thrive. If you think about a fire again, for example, the more oxygen, the more wind it gets, the bigger and faster it grows, the stronger it is. Well, your business is just like that. If you can keep cash in your business and you can continue to work your plan and you invoice your customers, your business is going to only get stronger. It's going to grow faster. It's going to be more fierce. You're going to have more options. It's going to be harder to put out. Those are the types of things that you want to think about when you're thinking about cash. I want to give you a real life example of exactly this from a customer of ours at Mobilization Funding. We had a customer came to us 2.5, 3 years ago. At the time, they were a $3 or $4 million business doing some great work. They happened to be in the directional drilling space. Over the next 3 years, I watched this customer have a plan, execute the plan. They found us as a lender. They found the right way to utilize our loan program. And what they did over the next 3 years was really remarkable. Today, they're almost a $25 million a year company. The owner has 7 offices now around the country. He flies to those offices with his own plane. And just 3 years ago, he used to drive back and forth to his 3 offices and spend 5-6 hours in the car. I watched that owner take literally almost no money different than any other period of time from when he first started through those 3 years. But he went into a monumental shift and change in lifestyle after 3 years. He was able to keep the cash in his business, use the loan programs that he put together with us to be able to execute that plan. And it wasn't for a full 3 years that it was before he was able to actually execute on that and then actually see some of the fruits of his labor. That is the exact definition of delayed gratification. Again, very simple plan, simple customers, knew when to add a customer, invoiced him properly, did all the right things. But once he had some oxygen in the form of cash, whether it was the profits from his business or the loan program he put together with us, he was able to really grow into what now is a very successful, healthy, stronger company that's literally almost 8 times the size it was before. There's a perfect example of what I'm talking about when it comes to cash flow management and delayed gratification. How do you use the tools? Where do you get the tools? Unlike other times, years and years ago, there's more and more resources available to you. At Mobilization Funding, we have an entire resource page. There's a YouTube channel. You can access spreadsheets, cash flow tools, budgets, knowledge and information from interviews and webinars we've done with experts in the field on budgeting, experts in the field on estimating, invoicing, payments, cash flow management, all that. Think of your bankers, think of your accountants, think of other field experts all over. You can find that. You can also find that on our YouTube channel. And outside of our channel, there's even better resources for other specific items directly related to your business that you can find on YouTube or LinkedIn or any other spots. For a great project cash flow tool, you can access that for free right on our website, mobilizationfunding.com. Go to the resources page and you can download the actual cash flow tool, or we can actually build it for you if you want to follow through the tutorial. We don't market to you. We're not going to send you spam. but you have those tools and access there and the information. Grab this information. Talk to anybody you can to help you, but seek this out, especially before you try to grow and specifically before you try to get too big too fast, or you're just starting out and you want to do it the right way. It's a lot easier early to put these systems in place and grow off of a strong foundation than it is to grow off of a weaker foundation and try to shore it up midway through the process. Thank you all for following along and listening to this video. I hope these 5 mistakes and the strategies and solutions for fixing them helped you. If they did, please like the video, share it with your colleagues, share it with your friends, pass this information along to anyone you think can benefit. I hope you guys have a great day. I hope you have a great week, a great year, you work your plan, and God bless you.